Oh, that orc you picked up the other day? The one with the huge arms? I mean, hi, Thogra. Nice to meet you. I'm Remiel, but just call me Remy, please.
Huh. You sure about her? Doesn't look like she can hold her own in a fight.
Can't hold... What? Why would you say something like that? I mean, you're right, I suppose, but still.
Don't mean anything by it. Just civilians on the battlefield. Never ends well.
Battlefield? This isn't a war. This is adventure and research and... Ugh. You sure know how to pick 'em, don't you, adventurer?
Research, huh? You know, Professor, last week I researched a bandit so hard that his head ended up in another hold.
In another hold? Did you measure how far it went? How much force did you put behind that swing? Could you replicate it for me? Wait, is that a threat?
Malakath help us. She really is a scholar. Don't worry, Professor. Just don't get in the way when I'm doing my thing.
Well, I'd like to keep my head on my shoulders, so I will not be in your way.
Good. Yeah? You were going to say something, Professor.
Well, I was just marveling on how your arms are for more than show. You remind me of a giant ogre, I think.
Do I now? You remind me of a little rabbit. Except you talk more.
Well, at least rabbits are cute.
I'm beginning to think it's because they don't talk. Anyway, how would you know?
How would I know that rabbits are cute? Well, I do have eyes as well as my mouth that apparently talks too much.
No, I mean about ogres. It's not like you've ever seen one. Or did your family keep them as pets? I've heard you nobles enjoy that sort of thing.
Nobles? No, Thogra. I've seen them wandering about High Rock, using their huge arms to kill people. That's how.
Fine. Whatever. I'd rather have huge arms than a big mouth. At least they're useful for something.
Well, I'll just use my big mouth to yell for you next time a bandit is trying to mug me, and then you'll see how useful words can be.
All right, Professor. And then I'll use my huge arms to bash that bandit's skull in. It's going to be very... what's the word? Educational.
Agreed.
Hey, Professor, what's that thing you've got running after you?
What? Oh, you mean Scrap, my beautiful Dwemer spider. He's a Dwemer automaton, obviously, and quite a handsome one if I say so myself. You see, Dwemer spiders were used by the dwarves to build and repair their cities. Of course, Scrap was never very good at that, but regardless, he's quite an excellent bodyguard. I imagine it has to do with how the spiders are programmed to protect their homes. Does that mean Scrap considers me home? That's a nice thought.
Right.
Anyway, you're probably more wondering how I got him to follow me. Well, his soul gem was terribly depleted when I met him, so I swapped him out one with a filled soul gem. Then it was a simple process of rewiring and programming. Oh, of course some of his cogs were, well, a bit rusted, so I swapped those out too. He seems to be doing alright since then.
I see.
Yes, but Dwemer automaton are also fairly intelligent. Their masters nearly gave them sentience, I think, so he is very adaptable, constantly evolving and learning new tricks. It's very fun for me, especially as I look into his inner workings and see how the physical aspects of him have changed to account for the more intangible. It seems to have more to do with changes in how the soul gem is used. Not quite sure yet, but it's a working theory.
Huh.
And of course... Wait. You're not even listening, are you?
I am. Go on, it's interesting. You say these things use soul gems. I suppose that's why they sometimes look at you like they're alive.
You think it's interesting? Are you sure? Well, yeah, they do use soul gems. I'm almost certain that's why they seem almost sentient.
Well, yeah. Don't know much about them, but I always thought that dwarves were really something. They made machines. They built things to last. And then they disappeared. Interesting stuff. So, if you want to talk about them some more, I wouldn't mind listening.
If I want to... Of course I want to! By the divines, that's all I ever want to do! Well, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by your interest. Well, I've read a lot, so if you ever have questions...
Next time we're in a dwarven ruin, I will. Meanwhile, got any books you could lend me?
Well, I mean, if you're interested in the Dwemer, I have Azura and the Box. Really good read, in my opinion. Take it. Let me know what you think, okay?
Thanks, Remy. Hey, you think Scrap would let me pet him?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Remy, got a moment? Been thinking about something you said.
Oh, and what's that?
Let's play a game.
You're basically a noble, right?
I'm not playing.
I'm about as noble as a mud crab. Why do you ask?
Well, I was just thinking. I mean, you look posh. Like you come from money.
Well, yes. Once upon a time. I come from a merchant family. Not exactly what I'd call nobility, but we had a lot. Of money, of things, of prestige.
You don't look happy.
Wow, very observant. Ugh, that came out wrong. My family isn't rich anymore. Not really. Definitely not prestigious. Quite the opposite now.
I see. Don't want to pry if it's a sore subject, but if you want to talk, I'll listen. What I can tell you about my folks, they weren't prestigious either.
Let's just say that politics and High Rock are cutthroat. What is your family like? I've always been a bit curious.
I'm from Breville, not the nicer part of it either. My ma died young. Da? Who even knows? My uncle raised me when he was sober enough to remember I was there. Once I left, I never really looked back. You know, it's kind of funny.
That doesn't sound very funny, Thogra.
No, I meant, looking at you, I thought you were, you know, a rich kid. Silver spoons and silver platters. But from what you're saying, that didn't matter in the end, did it?
No, it really didn't. But Thogra, your upbringing didn't matter either. I mean, of course it matters. What I mean is, you're so much more than an orphaned kid raised by a drunk. Ugh, that sounded bad. I mean, you're good. You're great.
Thanks, Remy. You know, you're pretty good too. Ah, you got me all soppy. Come on, let's find something to fight before I turn into a real milk drinker.
You're right. You'd better leave the milk drinking to me. And thanks. Thogra? Are you okay? That wound looks... Well, it's sort of gross. I can't look away. Did you get that in that last fight?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. I've had worse.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Except I can't stop thinking about it. Can't you heal it up? I'm sure it has to hurt.
You mean with magic? I'm no good with that stuff.
Around is rubbish.
Never could figure it out.
Taking the fight to the
Don't worry, Remy, I'll be fine.
Oh, I'm not that great with magic either. But, well, I at least taught myself how to heal so that I wouldn't, you know, bleed out on adventures. Actually, I don't want you to bleed out either. Let me patch you up?
Well, alright. Thanks, Remy. You're... Anyway, thanks.
Of course. It's no problem. Really, I should just heal you whenever you get injured. I'm sure it would make your fancy sword fighting easier.
Between the dragons and the stormcloaks, these are troubling times indeed.
Anyway, speaking of fighting, I've been thinking I could give you some tips, if you want. I mean, not that you're bad at it.
I don't think I've ever heard you lie before. I know my swordsmanship leaves something to be desired. But, you know, I don't think I'd mind getting a couple pointers from you.
Let's say you're not as bad as I expected. Alright then, I'll show you some things when we set up camp.
I appreciate it. Bandits better look out. We're about to be an unstoppable force. This place is weird. Oh, I mean, no offense, Thogra. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, are all strongholds like this?
Wouldn't know, really. The ones I've seen so far were similar, I guess. Don't know that much about them, to be honest.
Oh, that's right. You grew up in Cyrodiil, huh? Well, do you feel at home here?
What, because I'm an orc? Do you feel at home at any random Bretton's house? Like that shopkeeper in Whiterun, Bella something. You know, the one who offers to sell you his family members.
Oh, that makes sense. Sorry, that was insensitive, wasn't it? In case you're wondering, though, Bretons don't normally sell their relatives. He's just weird.
Good to know. Anyway, didn't mean to sound snappish. Truth is, I stayed at a stronghold for a bit, shortly after I left Cyrodiil. I needed help, so they let me in. They're good folks for the most part. But you're right, it was weird.
Well, that was good of them. Did you make any friends there?
Wish I had. But no. It's not that they treated me bad. They're decent to all orcs, even city folk like me. But it's hard to describe, but it was like they all fit. They knew their life, they knew their roles and what was expected of them, and they all fit in that world just fine. But I didn't. I looked like them, but I wasn't one of them. Not ever.
They do seem a little wary of outsiders. Well, that's alright that you didn't fit. That just means that there's somewhere else for you. You certainly fit in with our little group, from my point of view.
Thanks, Remy. Appreciate it. Seems I did make a few friends here at least.
You know, Thogra, I think you missed your true calling in life. I can just see you as a bard. Big, muscled arms strumming at a lute. Maybe you should enroll.
What?
Yeah. I can see it now. You wearing a fancy hat, singing with that rough voice of yours. People would climb all over each other to ask for autographs.
I think someone must have knocked me on the head in that last fight. Or maybe knocked you on the head, I don't know. Me, a bard? Not on your life.
Oh, don't be nervous. You'll make it big. Come on, ask Viarmo to enroll you.
Don't you dare. Bards. Ugh. They creep me out.
Why do they creep you out? They're merry men. Music makes people come alive.
Yeah, right. They sing, you know. Or they dance. Or play the lute. Or even recite poems. All that merriment, it just isn't natural. I don't trust them.
Why wouldn't it be natural? Even if they're just performing, the joy they give to others is real enough. Besides, I think you need some merriment most of all.
I am merry. Look at me, I'm smiling right now.
Oh yes, that's my mistake. You're right, Thogra. You're perfect how you are.
Hey, Remy.
Oh, guys, have you seen the detail on this metallurgy? It's practically pristine after all this time. Incredible. And look at that over there. And this here.
Actually, I was just going to ask you about it. What does it do? Is it hissing at us?
Like a cat? No, it's not like an angry cat. At least, I don't think it's angry. No, I'm pretty sure that's the steam power you're hearing.
Steam power?
When the Dwemer weren't using tonal architecture, they used steam. Basically, they heated water until it became steam, which takes up more space than water, which puts pressure on its container. Then they direct that pressure to control various machines.
Sounds clever. Is that what the pipes were for? Always wondered about that.
Yes, the Dwemer were ingenious, weren't they?
I say. How do you know all that stuff? I mean, is it from books?
Well, some of it is. But I'm more of a hands-on learner. So after reading, I'd sneak off to figure things out for myself. Makes more sense to me when it's my own hands creating it for myself.
Really? You went into Dwemer Ruins alone? When did you start?
Oh, much too young. When I was in my mid-teens, probably. I wouldn't go too far, just into the first halls. In those cases, the most dangerous thing to come across were bandits who had taken the ruin as a hideout. Didn't encounter any automatons until I was older.
You're an adventurous kid, eh? And to think I as good as called you a milk drinker when we met. Which machine did you see first? Was it one of the big ones? Or the nasty one with a crossbow?
Actually, the first I saw were sentries. I didn't fully understand what I was looking at first. They unfold, you know, so they sort of just looked like another pile of metal. But when it unfolded, well, definitely was a milk drinker. Ran like I was on fire.
As my old quester would say, there's no shame in a tactical retreat. And it didn't put you off, did it? I mean, even when you knew the machines were there, you kept coming back.
Of course I did. After seeing that with my own eyes, I just had to know how it worked. I saved up money for a hired bodyguard and went back in. He sort of smashed it to bits, though, so I didn't learn much from it that first time.
Some people have no appreciation for scholarship, eh? Hey, Remy, are you a mage? I mean, you do magic, but are you, a proper wizard? Which?
Oh, certainly not. There are all sorts of magic colleges in Wayrest, but I was rejected from every one. I taught myself healing, and that's about as good as I get.
Rejected? Why? I mean, if you want to talk about it.
Oh, that's because I have about as much magical talent as I have talent with the sword. Magic in High Rock is more. So they expect more.
But you taught yourself all those healing spells. On your own, right? That's pretty good if you ask me.
While I appreciate the compliment, I can assure you that what I do is nothing compared to real Breton mages. You should see some of the street shows back home.
Huh. Like what?
Giant serpents made of blue fire weaving through the crowd. Water droplets hanging in the air, reflecting light in a rainbow of color. Daring showmen swallowing swords, showing off their healing magics.
Damn, that does sound nice. Maybe I'll have to go watch them someday. And while I'm there, maybe I can find those stuffy old mages who thought they were too good for you and have a word, eh? You know, knock a few heads, pull a few beards, that kind of thing.
I think I'll have to join you. That sounds like a great time.
It's a plan then. Remiel and Thogra, wizard punchers of Wayrest.
Thogra, I got you something to drink. Orcs drink mead, right?
Far as I know, orcs drink everything. Give it here. Not bad. What did you say it was?
Some sort of mead. Blackbriar, maybe? Wait, orcs drink everything? What's the craziest drink you've ever had?
I'll drink anything that doesn't fight me on the way down. Maybe even some things that do. But the weirdest? Oh, I remember. I was still in the Legion. I served with this Bosmer girl, and I mean proper Bosmer from Valenwood, none of that city elf stuff. One day, she got a care package from her family.
Ooh, what was in the package?
She told us she'd been missing their home cooking, so her folks decided to send her some food. Except they couldn't really, because Valenwood food is all meat. So they sent her something to drink instead. It was called something. I forget. It had quite a kick. Anyway, she let us all have a swig before she told us, yeah, the drink was made from rancid meat as well.
Oh no, but how did it taste?
Better going down than coming up. I think I need something to wash down that memory. Want me to get you something? What do you drink anyway?
Well, I guess Remiels are like orcs in that vein. I'll drink anything. Whatever you get me would be great.
Fine. I'll see if they have beer. Hey, you think those elves at the Drunken Huntsman would have any of that Bosmer stuff? You could try it. You know, for research.
Ooh, I hope they do! For research! We'll have to check sometime.